In today's video, I'm going to tell you 4 ways to refresh your potting soil. Hi, I'm Robin. Welcome to Robin's Container Garden. When is the best time to revitalize or refresh your potting soil? Well, this is the perfect time. I reuse my potting soil every year, and because I refresh it, it actually keeps me from spending a lot of money on fresh compost, which is really good for the bank balance. After all, soil is just the substance that carries the nutrition and water that feeds and waters your plants. So as long as you refresh it, there is no reason why you couldn't use the same soil year in and year out. Remember that your plants get everything they need, their nutrition and their water, from the soil that's in your pots. The better that soil is, the healthier your plants are going to be. Now, the only time that I wouldn't use soil again is if there was a problem with one of the plants, if it had some kind of disease or a really bad pest that I couldn't get rid of. But containers are really forgiving, and so far, touch wood, where's wood? I don't have any wood, we'll just do this. So far, I've not had anything that would keep me from being able to use the soil. So this is the best way to start off. If you use any heavy wood chip or heavy straw as mulch, you probably want to remove that first, because you don't want that stuff mixed in with your soil. It takes a long time for that stuff to break down, and you definitely want everything to be quite loose. So now I'm going to tip this compost into the wheelbarrow, and this is my favorite part because it's time to get my hands dirty. I know I'm putting gloves on, that's kind of a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Now, this is the first step in any of the processes that you want to do. You want to break up that compacted soil. You want to loosen anything. You want to pull out any big roots or anything like that that's still in the soil. So this is a good time to look for beasties, and if you see them, evict them. Get rid of them. Cement shoes, if you know what I mean. You don't want these guys to be taking up residence in your soil, because they will chow down on your tender seedlings and they will kill them. So you definitely want to see if there's any evidence of any kind of bugs or any kind of baddies in here. And so far, I'm not finding anything bad except for sticks. Now, you can put your soil through a sifter if you want to. That would definitely get rid of the big pieces. But I'm not all that concerned for what I'm doing today. This particular container is not going to have anything that's going to be affected too much by big pieces of soil. I just want to make sure that I get all that soil nice and loose. Oh, I love this. That smells amazing. It actually looks like it's in pretty good condition, but we're still going to rejuvenate it, because most gardeners, myself included, are not set up to really test it to see if there's a lot of nutrition left in it. Now, this would also be the time to pull out any big roots, like if you have any tomato plant roots left in there, anything like that, this would be a time to pull those out. And you just got everything all kind of loose in there. So that's step 1. So now you've got soil that you want to rejuvenate to put your plants in. So there's 4 different ways to do that. I've got a hair in my face. Yeah. There's 4 different ways to do that. And I'm going to tell you all the different ways that I'm aware of and that I have done in the past. And then I'm going to tell you what I do now, and I'll tell you why. So the first way is not what I would call the easy way. I guess it is kind of easy. But if there is a situation where you don't have all these other options in order to do things, if you've got a container, say, that's huge and you can't dump it out in a container like the wheelbarrow or a tarp on the grass, then there is an easier way, simple way, we'll say simple way, to do this. And that is to take your container, well, I'll bring you over here and let you see. So if you have a container that you can't dump, we're just going to use this as an example. You'll want to dig in here to see if there's anything that needs to come up. And I'm not seeing anything that's necessary that needs to come out. So I'm just going to leave that in here. And what you can do is you can take fresh compost, and I just pulled this from a bag of fresh compost that I have in the house that I'm using to start some seedlings with. So I'm just going to dump that on top, and I'm going to put about an inch, that's not quite an inch, but you see what I'm talking about. Put about an inch of new compost on top of your existing container. Now, one of the things that that's going to do is that's going to give a starting seedling new growth area, new nutrition, fresh nutrition to start growing in. The seedling roots are not going to be very long, so that will give them something to start off in, and then by the time that they need extra nutrition going into the bottom part of the container, you'll have started using your liquid fertilizers, and that will help to bring things back up a little bit. So that's the first way. Now, the second way is to mix your existing potting soil that you used last year with fresh, purchased new compost. Now, I don't have any out here that I can show you how to do this with, but it's actually really quite easy. So what you would do is you would dump your compost out into a wheelbarrow or a tarp that you have on the grass, and you would mix your spent compost with about half and half new compost. So let's say this fit into one of my containers. When I got all the compost in there, I would split that in half and put that into 2 containers. So you have mixed, half mixed new compost and half mixed spent compost. You can also use your own compost if you have any. We have some compost there over my shoulder, as you can see. We've got a compost bin over there. And what we're going to be doing this year, and this is what we did last year, is use that compost for potatoes, because it's only a year old and it's quite rough still. The potatoes break the soil down, and they kind of get the soil ready. I'm pretty sure this was potato soil last year. So this soil that I have in my hands right here, this crumbly stuff, was only a year old when I put it into the potatoes last year, and that's what happened to it. I mean, that's amazing, beautiful, crumbly soil. So so what I'm doing with this is that I'm refreshing it, and I'm going to put my other plants in it. I'm going to put some tomato plants or something in it. So that's another way, is just to mix fresh compost in with spent compost. So that is number 2. Number 3 is mixing in well-rotted manure. That's really hard to say. Try to say that 3 times fast. Well-rotted manure. Anyway. Well-rotted manure is really good in compost, especially this time of year. We're the first part of February. So it'll have plenty of time to finish breaking down and do what it needs to do to make your compost ready to go. I ordered some chicken manure pellets, and they came in the post yesterday, and I have never been so happy to get poop in the post. I can't help myself. So I would oh, that's ripe. Wow, that's really smelly. So you take that and put it in here. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can put this on top of your, you can put, oh my God. You can put this on top of your container when you have it all done. And then you can let the rain break it down, and that will start to break down inside. Or you can just mix it up ahead of time. It smells better if you mix it up ahead of time. Cover it up with that lovely compost smell. Holy moly. Holy chicken poo. Wow. Okay. So that,
Number 3. Now, if you don't have a very good constitution to sharp smells, I've actually, this is like the 3rd or 4th box of this stuff that I've had, and that's the smelliest yet. So it's usually not quite so smelly, but that's bad. That's terrible. So anyway, that's number 3. So the 4th way to refresh your spent compost is to mix it with some slow release fertilizer. Now, I use Bloodfish and Bone, and I actually top my plants up with that through the season, but not like tons of it, because you don't want to overdo it. You definitely want to read the directions on how much to put per gallon or per liter of compost soil. So you can add this to your soil. I'm just going to sprinkle some in here. It's not enough, but I'm just going to, just for display sakes. And also, especially if you're growing something like tomatoes, aubergines, peppers, eggshells. Now, I'm going to link my video to how I process my eggshells to the end of the video, and I'll put a link down in the description as well. But these are so easy to make, and they're so easy to keep. If you eat eggs at all, they're great, and they are a slow release calcium in your soil as well. And this is not really something that you would measure to put in. You just put it in as you go. And that brings me to my method. My method is all of them. I do a little bit of everything in my soil to refresh it and get it ready for the coming season. So what I do is I put a little bit of new compost in. I put a little bit of manure in, and I put in a little bit of slow release fertilizer in my eggshells. Then I mix it all up. And that's ready to go back into the container. So over the next few weeks, several weeks, that will continue to break down. Oh, did I find a rock? I found a rock. That will continue to break down in the soil, and that will start to fill that soil with yummy nutrition for the plants. Now, you don't want to use this to start your seeds. You want to use fresh potting mix, seed starter mix, whatever you want to call it, to start your seeds. A couple of reasons. One is that you want your seeds to have the best start possible, and 2, there may be some beasties that you missed. There may be some eggs in the soil that you missed. So you want to make sure that there's nothing that can harm those seeds when they're germinating and until they get to the point where they are seedlings that you're going to transplant. But this is perfect seedling starter, and you can put that back into your container and it'll be ready to plant when it's time to go. Healthy plants resist pests and diseases more than weaker ones do. So if you can make your plants nice and strong, well-fed, healthy plants, you'll have a more healthy garden.
This is a good example of using the right tool for the job.
Last week I told you in my 4Ps video that I was going to be talking about planting this week, and I got a couple messages about the soil refresh. I didn't really go into a lot of detail, and that's why. we have this one this week. And we will get to the planting video, I promise, but I wanted to talk about this while we had plenty of time to get some stuff started and to get you going and getting your containers refreshed for the season. So if you want to see the video where I process my eggshells, that video is right there. And remember, you don't have to grow all the things, just grow something. Take care. Bye, y'all.